Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. Today we are talking about the skincare brand Olay. Now this is a brand that has been around for decades, but recently they've been coming under a little bit of flack and criticism for the price point of some of their newer launches. I'm going to be honest, when I walked into the drugstore and saw the new launches on the shelf, I was taken aback by the price that they were charging. But more than just the sky-high cost, I wanted to also look at some of the pricing practices that seem to be going on behind this. We're also going to look at the formulations themselves. Are they worth this top dollar pricing? Spoiler alert, absolutely not. So sit back, relax, let's talk all things Olay. Now, before we get into this video, I would love to know your thoughts, feelings, and opinions when it comes to Olay. Do you remember them way back when they were actually called Oil of Olay, and before them Oil of Ulay? They've changed quite a bit in the past couple of decades, so sound off in the comments section below and let me know your experiences, because I really want to get that conversation going. Whatever your thoughts on Olay as a brand, if you're like me, you like the channel, and you love skincare content here on YouTube, hopefully you'll reach down and give this video a big thumbs up and a like. The more likes the video gets, the more widely YouTube distributes it on its platform. And I think this is a really important message that I want to get out there loud and clear, because I think if brands think they're getting away with this and duping us, the consumer, the more likely they are to continue with these practices. So by giving the video a thumbs up, it's just a great way of helping me to achieve that. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much. Now, in true Mad About Skin style, shall we just cut that waffle and delve straight on in? Now, before we kick off, let's just do a brief overview of Olay as a brand themselves. They're owned by the Procter & Gamble Group, which are a big multinational corporation, but individually, it's said that Olay accounts for around $2 billion worth of Procter & Gamble sales. So they're a huge international brand. Traditionally, they've always been super inexpensive and drugstore. Their beauty fluid, if I remember rightly, you got like 100 mils of this moisturiser for like £6 here in the UK, and this was a staple for an awful lot of people. They went through a phase where they were known as being a bit outdated, a bit old-fashioned. This is when I think they did their rebrand. They dropped the oil of Olay, became Ulay, Olay. They mixed it all up to try and regain popularity and kind of capitalised on a younger and emerging audience. This certainly worked, and their Regenerist line, particularly their retinoids, really did take off, and lots of people say what amazing results they got from them. I reviewed their Olay retinol in a recent video, which I'm going to leave a link to up there. I'd say it scored like midway through the table. You know, it wasn't the best retinoid out there, but certainly it wasn't that bad when you compare and contrast it to some other commercially available retinoids at the drugstore. I think these new launches, though, show that the brand has maybe got a little bit carried away with just how popular they are as a brand if they think that anyone is paying these prices. This is why I think they have to do some clever price manipulation in the background to really justify people wanting to reach out and give these products a go. We're going to come on to that later in the video. But should we start off with a little bit of a look at the new launches themselves and just how good they might actually be? You've probably already seen them because they seem to be front and centre in just about every single drugstore or location where they're available. The one that Olay seem to be pushing the most is the Vitamin C and AHA 24-hour moisturiser. So the brand claims that the potent combination of vitamin C and exfoliating acids in this will get you glowing to the gods in less than 1 day's time. That absolutely isn't going to happen, but I'm not going to read them to Phil too much for that, because they're not the only brand in the skincare world that over-exaggerates the claims of their products. I think just about every brand is guilty of that. This does have a combination of lactic acid alongside a stabilized ascorbic acid and niacinamide that in the long term will give you some glow up, some radiance boost to the skin, and it will help to fade hyperpigmentation, dark spots and discoloration. Then the problem is they've not been the most transparent, so you don't actually know the concentrations of any of these ingredients. And when it comes to lactic acid and vitamin C, concentration really is key, because low concentration probably won't deliver any of that benefit, whereas a higher concentration probably will. The price point for this is £38, $50 for 50ml of product, which equates to around 1.7 fluid ounces if that's your preferred way of measuring things. That's a lot. That's a sky-high price point, particularly for a brand that, like I say, always has a reputation of being like a drugstore and affordable brand. I reached out to Olay and said, could you let me know the concentrations of the actives in here? And they said, no, unfortunately not. It's a proprietary blend that we don't disclose. That should always be a red flag for a brand, because they've obviously got something to hide. Any brand that doesn't have anything to cover up will share with you the percentages, because this notion that suddenly we can all recreate this and steal like the trademark from knowing the percentages is utter rubbish, because you're actually only knowing the concentrations of a very tiny fraction of the overall formulation. There's so much goes into this besides just those active ingredients. So This is just covering up. And if you look at the ingredients list and work things out, you can probably estimate that there's around a 6% concentration of lactic acid and around a 3% concentration of ascorbic acid. That's not going to be an exact science, but you can work that out if you assume that the niacinamide in here, which is high up on the ingredients list, is around a 10% concentration, which most brands formulate with. You can then work down the ingredients list to estimate the rest. This will give you okay results in the long term, but this is way too expensive for what the brand's actually offering. When you could reach for like the ordinary lactic acid in the same concentration for £5, you could get a stabilized vitamin C in a higher concentration than this for like £6 or £7. You're really overpaying when it comes to this one. It's also packed full of fragrance, to the point where I did a little sample in Boots when I was there the other day, and it lingered 4 hours. So if you're looking for fragrance free, this is not going to be where it's at. They also launched their Collagen Peptide 24. The number 24 seems to be in the title of just about all of their products, but it doesn't really have any meaning in this one. I saw where they were going with the alpha hydroxy acid and vitamin C one, where they said you get that glow up in 24 hours. You're not going to get any results from the next one in 24 hours, so I don't really know what they're doing there. But this claims to be able to boost the levels of collagen in the skin in a relatively short period of time and be like a powerhouse anti-aging moisturiser. I'm not so sure on that, but we'll come on to that in a minute. This again is £38, around $50 for 50ml of product. Again, sky high price point. When you look at the ingredients and formulation, you're getting niacinamide. Again, you're getting panthenol, which is a really nice calming and soothing B vitamin, and you're getting one collagen boosting peptide. It does appear that that peptide is in a relatively meaningful concentration, which is definitely a positive. But again, they don't tell you what concentration that is, so we can't really know. Other than that, not a whole lot to boost collagen here. And for £38, I probably expected a little bit more. I'd like a comprehensive suite of different peptides, because different peptides work in different ways, and they work really well when formulated together. I probably expected some other great ingredients that could over time boost levels of collagen in the skin. You're just not getting this with this product, and I think for the small amount of product you get, that is a ridiculously high price point when you take into account the formulation. Finally, we have the Glow Day Moisturiser SPF 30. This is fractionally cheaper at £35 for 50ml, so again, around the $45 to $50 price point if you do that conversion. This claims to be an all-encompassing day cream that gives you some great hydration, will help boost the luminosity, the glow of the skin, and also protect you from the harmful rays of the sun. So far, so good. But actually, when again you look at the ingredients list, this is just such a mundane, standard formulation that they're charging a ridiculously high-end price for. You've got two older generation filters in here, which will absolutely deliver you that SPF of 30. But I think for that price point, I expected a bit more innovation, maybe reaching for newer generation filters. They might have done this because they want to sell the exact same product here in the UK as in the States, and in the States they don't allow some of the new generation filters to be sold over the counter. So I do get maybe why they went with that, but you could reach for a much more innovative formulation for a fraction of this cost. They've also got niacinamide, which seems to be in all of their products, and they've got some panthenol, which again is nice to see in a sunscreen because it's calming and soothing. Overall, this ain't great. This just is not great. You could reach for a really nice Korean sunscreen that will have a much more elegant application, feel better on the skin, still hydrate you to the gods for a fraction of the cost with better, more stable UV filters that are going to have a more broad spectrum coverage. This really isn't it for £35. I would have expected way more. I would definitely recommend, if you can get your hands on them, to go for newer generation filters in your sunscreen, less risk of irritation, more broad spectrum coverage, and I just think they give a more elegant application. So what I will do is link a video up there capturing some of my absolute favourites. If you're still struggling to find your perfect pairing, hopefully that video will help you. So overall, in price point, definitely not impressed with it. I think the formulations are pretty standard, and for that price point, I would have expected way more. But I think there's another layer to this that's kind of been missed out in the conversation about people's shock at just the higher levels of costs of these products, and that's some of the marketing tactics they're using around this. So they launched these products with 50% off here in the UK. Everything was half price, or in some places it was buy one, get one free, so again, unit for unit, the equivalent of half price. This is pretty unheard of in the skincare world. I mean, what good, worth its salt brand would launch its new products with a 50% discount? You kind of want these products to sell themselves, so people to be so excited and hyped that they go out and buy it. If you're having to do a half price sale on day one, something has gone drastically wrong. Or has it? Is this actually not just been used as a marketing tool? Now, you'll often see in the past brands doing this, where they claim a product is on sale so that people think they're getting a bargain, but actually the product has never been there at that full price. So if it's never actually been at the full price, Are you actually getting a sale if it's 50% off? Absolutely not. You're actually just paying what the brand want to charge for the product. And I think there might be a whole lot of this going on when it comes to these launches. There's another thing that could be happening with this. Brands will often do that half price because they know their product is way too expensive for people actually want to buy it full price. So they do it half price, hoping that people will get hooked or at least in the habit of using their product so that when they do put the price back up to full price, people will still buy it even though they know that it's actually not worth the price. They're used to the product, it's working well with their skin, so they think, oh look, why not? Let's just continue to use it even though it has in this case doubled in price. Either of these things could be working when it comes to this brand, and I'm pretty sure that's the case because no other skincare brand would launch what they think is a game-changingly good skincare at half price on day one. It just doesn't happen. And I think this is taking us, the consumer, for fools. I hate to see brands manipulate the way that we buy products in this way. I know it happens, but I think as consumers we kind of should be aware of this. Is a product really half price if it's never existed at that full price point? No. Absolutely not. And here in the UK, you can get it buy one, get one free if you shop at Superdrug. It's half price over in Boots. The same offer seems to be going on in Canada and in the States. So I think this is a global marketing effort to really get people to buy into these products without noticing that the sky-high price isn't really worthy of the formulation that they're delivering. There are some consumer laws that exist in certain countries to protect us against this sort of behaviour. Here in the UK, laws state that a product has to be commercially available at least a couple of outlets at the higher price point for you able to be calling it a sale or an offer. They get around doing this by putting some of the smaller distributors that aren't going to shift any volume, making them charge the full price for the product. So to say, look, this is genuinely available at that high price point, so at half price you're genuinely getting a sale. This has like another level of issue and deceit attached to it because it actually discriminates against the smaller retailers, the indie brands that we absolutely should be supporting. They're forced to sell the product at full price, knowing that no one's ever going to buy it at that cost. And this allows the big drugstores and conglomerates to sell it at half price and get their cash registers running, and of course line Olay's profit margins. This is just not how the business should be done. And I know a lot of brands do this sort of marketing, advertising and backroom deals, but I think we should be more aware of it as consumers. Question, is it actually a deal if you've never accessed it at that higher price point? Are you actually getting 50% off? No, you're still buying an overpriced moisturiser if you buy any of these products at the lower price point of £19. I still don't think it's worth it for the formulation, so I'd say, if you're tempted, walk past Olay in the aisle and choose some of the other great affordable brands that we have to offer. Recently I shared with you like my favourite hidden gems at the drugstore. I'll leave a link to that video up there. Check that out for some genuinely game-changing and affordable skincare options that don't rely on this duplicitous style of marketing in order to sell us their products. I would love to know your thoughts, feelings and opinions, so sign up in the comment section below. Wherever you are in the world, guys, stay safe, stay well and love your skin. Take care. Bye!